Today we're going to take you guys to see two properties which differ quite a lot from each other. One is a little bit barn suan, so a little bit out in the farming area. The other one is closer to a town centre. Is it me, or are property prices going up in Thailand? I arrived here nearly 2 decades ago. I've got a lot of subscribers on this channel, long-term expats that were here 40 years ago. Some of them were here 50 years ago. I don't know whether I imagined it or it was actually real, but back in those days, a million baht would get you a beautiful house in Thailand. But these days, things have changed. Your million baht doesn't go quite as far. Isn't that the case all around the world? I'm sure it is. If you've been following along, you'll know on this channel we've been looking at a lot of different places recently. We saw Tony at his turkey farm. We've looked at a pool villa in central Buriram and a small little cottage-style house also in central Buriram. I dare say this has become a bit of a hobby of ours to be looking at these places, and recently, as a product of this series, a lot of you have reached out to me to invite me to different areas of Thailand. And that includes Sisaket and Khon Kaen, which may be locations I visit very soon. So get yourself a nice beverage and let's go and take a look at property 1. So here is spot number 1, situated in Nang Rong, in Buriram, of course. The whole plot here, as you can see, is quite large. It's nearly 4 rai included. The house that they built on it is not huge. You can see they built this small construction here and the water tower with a small vegetable garden. This location is about 45 minutes outside of Buriram, the major city, but there is, within 5 minutes of here, there's a mall. And I guess it's a nice mix between living kind of rural and out there in the sticks and being close to civilization in this area. It looks like they prepped the land here at the front as well for planting trees and whatnot. Let's take a little look around the inside and see what there is to see. We've actually brought Otis on this mission. He's come along. This is the first property vlog that Otis has ever been on. You can see at the front here, you got like a little seating area. You know, I mean, this place is a residential place, but it would probably make a half decent cafe as well out here. And because you have the land at the front, I would probably segment some of that land. If I wanted to do a cafe here, segment some of that land and build an actual house on it and probably have this thing as more of a cafe. Its design is very like, this is what a lot of the modern Thai cafes look like these days. You can see you have this fountain at the front here, bit of a feature. This is the first time I've also seen this building as well, so I've never been inside. It looks like it's a steel frame, like a prefab construction, but we'll see. In fact, we can see out here on the front that it's made from like an MDF wood with a steel frame. So as you can see, space-wise, it's a bit of a cozy, smaller footprint. You've got a small seating area with circle window here, and there's a TV zone here. Though it is a little bit dinky, it has got a nice breeze that moves through it. So these doors can also be opened up. I've just opened those up, and that lets the breeze through. And you can see here you have a small bar area with kitchen. This is tiny house living for sure. So they got a nice stock bar up there. Nice coffee station. Again, it just feels like a cafe to me, this place. Tiled countertops here, small cupboards. You got yourself a sink. The view at the back is onto somebody else's land, I believe. That isn't the owner's land. More cupboards, microwave, and then a large double door fridge here. There is no aircon in the downstairs area. You can see there's an aircon here, but I believe that might be upstairs for the bedroom. So there's no aircon in this downstairs area. As I said, there is a breeze coming through here. It's not a particularly hot day today either. And what I have found with these prefab houses is they can really get quite hot, and then you would have to, like the container homes as well here in Thailand, you expect to put a couple of air conditioners in and have them running all the time because they run really hot. The design of this, though, may help prevent and mitigate some of that. You can see from the outside. You have the downstairs bathroom here. It's got quite a nice sliding door on it. And in here you have one shower. It's, again, all tiled. And then you have the toilet and a spot here with the sink, mirror, and again a tiled floor. So it's quite convenient down here. I believe obviously no bath. And now we'll take a little look. Quite funny, you go outside to go back inside again. So if it is raining and you want to go up to bed, which admittedly doesn't happen a lot in Thailand, but it does happen, then prepare to get wet or to sprint up through the rain. It is raining now, so it's particularly relevant. Beautiful view off the back here. You can see the buffaloes over there in the background. I don't know if you guys can pick it up on my microphone, but there's a lot of noise coming from that temple over there. Sounds like there's a party going on. That's not unusual though in rural Thailand to have banging noise. They put the speakers out, you can't even hear what you're doing. Here you have water. Looks like they've got a filtration system in there as well, on one pump. So they'll be filtering their own water. This is actually the electricity mains right there. So this is where it's hooked up to the electricity. Again, it looks like wooden paneling, which I think is a little bit unusual for these prefabs because they usually use like either a concrete board or a composite material. So it's strange to see wood in there. Maybe on one side it is waterproofed, but I probably would have finished these panels off in some way as well. I think it just looks unfinished when you leave the wood appearing like this. Upstairs you have one balcony area. These balconies do look good here from the drone. They make the property look good. But in my experience of having a balcony here in Thailand, you very rarely use it. On days like today, it could definitely be used. But I found, like with our balcony at our place, it is blistering hot. So it's blistering hot on your feet. It's blistering hot on you, like to be up there, and you wouldn't spend much time on it. So that's just my personal opinion. Just bear in mind, if you are building in Thailand and you're planning to do loads of balcony space, the chances are a lot of the days here you won't be able to use it, or you'll be able to use it for a very small amount of time because it's so hot. And so the roof on the property is just the standard sheet metal. The problem with this one, I don't want to highlight too many problems with the place, but I just like to be honest on this vlog about what I see in my experience here in Thailand. The issue is noise. So when it rains really heavy, it'll be very, very noisy. That is one benefit of either doing a double roof, so you have the water protection of the metal sheet and then the sound protection of the tile, or just doing a tiled roof and making sure it's well waterproofed. And then finally up here you have one air conditioner fitted. This is quite basic living, so it'd be something for a couple, not really a family. And as I've said, this place will probably be suited more towards like a cafe. Maybe even you'd rent this room out, stick it on BnB or something like that for short-term tourists that were coming through the area. There is some tourism here because you're not too far from BnB, which is a little bit like Angkor Wat. But if it was me, and that is just me, I would probably build like a whole other house to how you want it on the land, and leave this place for more of like a commercial thing, small restaurant, cafe. So let's go down and let's ask Damo about the price of this place, which I think is mainly focused around the amount of land that comes with it, and its location is quite central as well. So in this day and age, it's never been as important as it is now to protect yourself while browsing online, and that's why I partnered the channel up with Surfshark VPN. Many of the subscribers have already used my promo code to download Surfshark VPN and are using it effectively. Surfshark VPN is going to protect your privacy online, but much more than this, it has a number of useful features that you may not be aware of. If you're like me and you travel a lot and connect to many different Wi-Fis, you may be exposing yourself to a compromised Wi-Fi. Surfshark has a built-in alert system which will let you know if the Wi-Fi that you're connected to is indeed compromised. Not only can you use Surfshark VPN VPN across all of your devices, whether you use Mac, iPhone or Android, but you can also use it to make sure you're not subject to price discrimination when searching for things such as flights, hotels and car rentals. When shopping online, you can change your location in the top right hand corner and make sure you're getting the best deal on the internet and not being discriminated against based on the location that you're searching from. Surfshark VPN is also useful to access the many different streaming sites from all around the world. It's going to be your best friend when accessing content that is usually restricted. They've given me a special offer to give to you. It is 4 months extra free. You can go to my link www.surfshark.com/nakedguru and it's a money back guarantee. So if it doesn't work out for you, you get your money back. They built kind of like a platform, which we were talking about. It's like a balcony area, and he said he uses this just to come up with friends and drink beer. I think that space there is probably for an umbrella. And you can see the land stretches all the way over to this boundary. This house here is not included, but I would probably use this little bit of land there to build your real house and have this, as the business has said. He's got a vegetable garden that they're doing here. You can see he's got a lot of corn on, pumpkins, well-maintained vegetable patch. And then you have another water pump and water tower there, which is probably used more for farm irrigation than for drinking water. So he has a solar pump as well installed here. If you're going to grow anything here, you're really doing like water management is really, really important. Because if you can't provide water for everything, then you got no chance. Oh, here's just a storage shed here. So the solar is actually, as you can see here on the drone, is on top of the water tanks here. Here is a toilet that they don't use, he said. So it's just just an outdoor toilet, like you're doing your garden, you want to nip in. So apparently this guy likes to party, so he built that platform so he could drink with his friends. And then when they want to use the toilet, they can come down here and use the toilet. That's why they added this one. And then there's another toilet on this side, where so you've got two toilets. One thing I did notice in the property is the use of this stone quite a lot. It's in the kitchen there and here, and it turns out that this guy here, that's his job. They have a business that sells this stone. Obviously he deals in this high quality stone and he's come to use some in the property here. You can see also with what they've used on the floor as well. It's actually throughout the property here, so that makes sense. That he's actually from the south of Thailand. And so Damo just informed me that he's selling the place with all the land, 4 rai, the house, all the equipment included, for 5.5 million baht, subject to negotiation, of course. I imagine a lot of that price is built in with the cost of the land here per rai, i.e. the land in this area is going up and up, and it really is quite high valuations here just because of its proximity to Buriram and in the city area. Where I am, the land will probably cost half of that. If you kind of worked it out on rough fag packet maths, will probably be half of that. So it is a little bit on the expensive side in my opinion, but a lot could be done with the area, and it is a very nice big area. I also suspect that's a starter price and that it would be subject to negotiation. So, it's heavy negotiation. So I guess in this game, it's good for them to start higher. But now having looked at so many properties here, you kind of get a feel for what are the prices, what are the going rates, what people put it on for. Some people just advertise properties that they're not in any rush to sell, but they put them on for a price that would be a real money maker if someone was to come along and take it. I think my final thoughts on this one, without repeating myself too many times, is that's probably more like a cafe. And you would utilize the land to build a house. And if you were going to do that, you may say, well, why just buy the land and build a house on the land? And if you said that, I'd probably agree with you. All right, guys, so while we're in the area, we came to property 2 to show you something completely different. This one here is just a small plot of land with a small building built on it. And you'll have to excuse the dogs. As with everywhere in Thailand, there's always loads of barking dogs. And what I try to do in my edit is cut them out. So sometimes I have to repeat things, and sometimes I just have to make the cut so you haven't got barking dogs in the in the video because it is annoying, I understand. And sometimes my subscribers do comment on this. So this is the little house here, and this one is going to be much, much cheaper. This is a fixer-upper, but it has got a little bit of land with it for farming and whatnot. So the building on it is super, super basic. So we have a quick little look inside. And so everything is just one room, guys. So you got, everything is one big room. So it's basically one big room, one big open space with a mix of tiles on the floor as well. And then a toilet there in the back. Mi hong nam khang langด้วยใช่ไหมครับ? So there is she said the toilet is not that beautiful. So it will just be a standard toilet in there, and it's one big open space room. So it's just under a rai. And what you got the chicken houses here as well. And then you have, well, you got quite a big piece of land back here, yeah? With a few lime trees, and you got mango trees here with some mangoes actually coming off. So yeah, a little spot of land. You got neighbours either side. It's quite overlooked. But what do I mean on the thumbnail when I say buy this fixer-upper for your Thai missus? Well, yeah, a lot of people come to Thailand, like, and if they've not been with their missus for a very long time, say, like my advice is usually like 8 to 10 years, they end up building like a really expensive property or buying a really expensive property. And you know, you hear on this channel a lot that obviously to buy these properties that I show you, you need to have a Thai missus, unless you want to go the company way, like, but there's lots of ups and downs with that I'm not going to go and get into. You have to have a Thai missus, so people think, well, I can't buy one because I don't want to spend that much money, I don't want to put it in somebody else's name. And if that's what you like, then you should be looking at something like this. Very, very cheap and cheerful, and do a renovation job. And then frankly, if something happens in the relationship, well, you don't really care, do you? So it could be a nice little starter home, which then later you keep for other purposes. So this spot here, including the land, is 650,000 baht. So really, it's the price of a car, a medium range car. So that way you're not taking a huge risk. Really, what I'm telling you is a product of a lot of comments that I hear on the channel. Never buy in Thailand under any circumstances, which I think is true to some extent, but some circumstances that I say you should buy. Number one, if you have children. If you have children, you don't, when something happens to you, you don't want to leave them without a home, without a house that you built. So at least they have some kind of security, somewhere to live, which is kind of paid off. If you've got renewable energy, even better. The land here, the houses here, especially the ones that we look at on this channel, they're not actually that expensive. For the price of a decent car, you can actually get a house with some land. So maybe you want to start off with something more along these lines. The last property we saw, by the way, was Chanot, I forgot to mention. And this one here is Norsor Gore, which is not Chanot land, but can still be, I think it's the one before Chanot, and still be purchased in the missus' name. So yeah, if you were looking for a starter house to see how things go, I don't think it's a bad investment. You'd probably spend that much in rent over the course of a number of years here. And so it's not much more. It needs a big renovation, obviously. It's a little bit of a project, obviously. And then it's something that if it does work out down the line, the relationship works, you can have as a little backup side holiday cottage, and then you can build your real place. Up to you. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, to be honest, guys. I guess the real message is, don't go spending 20 million baht on a house with somebody that you've just met for a couple of years, which is ultimately going to be in their name. Now, remember also, as I mentioned on the channel many times, you can still tie up property with superficies agreements, and so you have the control of the property. And as I've said, if you've got kids, I think it's important to have a place and find that balance between what you're willing to lose. It's a bit like crypto, isn't it? Don't invest anything that you're not willing to lose. And so I think that Thailand shares many similarities with the old crypto market. Just going off a lot of anecdotal experience and a lot of the stories that I read around Thailand. This is your cheap and cheerful 650 property. Not bad, not a bad location as well. We're still located in Nang Rong. We're still about 40 minutes from Buriram. from the centre. And a lot could be done to make this a bit more private as well. You could get a wall built around it. I don't think I'd knock down the building and start again, but the building can be expanded and renovated, and it's kind of your bare bone structure that you could do a decent amount with as a starter home. Now, whether your missus will stay with you or not, I don't know. If she's a good un and she's a keeper, she will. Anybody's missus that's a good un and a keeper would live with you in a shed. You'll remember Damo and I lived in bamboo huts for a couple of years. So if she's a good un, she'll stick with you no matter what you get. And if she wouldn't, then you might want to change up, I don't know. To be honest, it's not a bad little starter place, guys, especially if you're on a budget. And the fact that they've started construction as well, this is the basic Thai construction. This is how they all look like this. I believe the price can be negotiated further down as well. So the owner is actually moving back to her country. She's on some kind of border with China, and so she wants to move, and that's why she's selling up. You can see the place is by a little lake here, down a long winding road. For those that are interested in the idea of like renting a place like this out, you know, doing it up and then renting it out, I imagine your rental value for it probably wouldn't be more than 4,000 baht, depending on what you did here. I doubt it'd be more than like 4,000 baht a month to rent it out. So you can kind of work it out from the costs and then what you would spend on a renovation to if it could be profitable or how long it would take to make an ROI on that. So it's become a bit of a tradition on these vlogs for me to give a final thoughts at the end, a bit of a Jerry Springer thing. And it's also a good thing because sometimes when you're looking around a property and there's people trying to show you around and there's dogs barking, the rain's coming down, and you can't quite clearly express what you wanted to say. We're just here getting a noodle at the moment from the Tesco Lotus. It's actually in close proximity to both properties. I still call it Tesco. It's not Tesco anymore. It's just Lotus. So you have your Dairy Queen, KFC, that sort of thing. So anytime we're in this side of town, we take advantage of it because we don't have it near us. What I was trying to say about, is this a good property, a good starter property to buy your Thai wife? One interesting story about that property, and she told us, and she doesn't mind us sharing it, she bought that property, she's not originally from Thailand, but she bought that property with her husband, and they kind of built that house together, and then he went off and found another wife. And now she's worried, she's been living there alone, and she's worried that if something happens to him, that property then will go to his mother. And so that's why she just wants a quick sale, and she's selling it super cheap. That is really quite cheap. 650 is quite cheap for a piece of land and a property like that in this area. It may even be like a buy and hold strategy on that one, like just buy the place, hold it, and eventually the value will rise in the future. And so that's what I was trying to say along the lines of buy this for your Thai missus. It could be a good starter, and it's one of those that you wouldn't really have to worry about so much of losing the thing. If you've invested like 10 million in a property, you're going to be a little bit more worried about losing it, or having it in somebody else's name. And really, this is to combat that comment that I get on every single one of these videos, is never ever buy in Thailand. I think in the case of never buy with somebody you don't trust, never buy to a certain financial investment that you're scared to lose, never buy if you're not completely set on the location that you want to be in. Renting is cheap in Thailand. I think that probably in about 70% of cases, I would say that renting is your best bet. I rented for the first 10 years here, and I rented all kinds of places. I lived in Kanchanaburi, I lived in Hua Hin, I lived in Phuket. I probably rented well over 20 different apartments and things like that in Puttamonton Sai Ha as well in Bangkok. I've rented far more than I've rented obviously more than I bought here. I've only bought in the later years when having a family, settling down, having kids, wanting to leave something for the kids. That way we built. So I think in 70% of the cases, probably is better to rent, but that doesn't mean in 100% of the cases it's better to rent. There are definitely situations where it is better to buy. if you've retired and you've been with your missus for like 20 odd years, maybe you didn't even meet in Thailand. Maybe you guys met in the UK or Australia or somewhere. Then I would say that, you know, buying a retirement home, doing superficies, even not doing superficies, like whatever, there comes a time where you have to trust your partner. And even in the US, if you go through a messy divorce for whatever reason, in the US, I believe, from what I understand, that you're going to end up losing a lot anyway, losing your property anyway. Like, so it's no real difference in Thailand. I'm not too sure in the UK how it all works, how it's all kind of separated and arbitrated. But just enjoying a noodle now. It's the one we get when we always get when we come here. And so, yeah, I hope it's been kind of clear. A little bit of this vlog was kind of combating that. I've told you the story of the woman and why she's selling. She just wants a quick sale. I think she just wants to get rid of it and then go back to where she, you know, outside of Thailand, where she originally comes from. And so that's why it's probably a bargain. I dare say she'd probably accept 500 for it just to get gone. But there you go. That's the vlog for today, guys. And that's been my final thoughts on the matter. Please share your thoughts and opinions below on this one. I hope you find it interesting. Take care.